upgrade tills is why we learn the maths. Or just to count paper in banks. The euro replaces the pounds and the francs. Our way of life is no different from 1,000 tanks. With unity we're stronger than 1,000 tanks.
One, two, mic check.
Round in circles. I feel like I'm going round and round and round in circles.
1, 2, mic check.
My head is
1, 2, mic check, mic check. Sending a big shout out to everyone locked onto the Wayne Jordon show. It's a big one today. Listen, I can't lie, this is a very, very important show. Big shout out to everyone locked in, locked on.
Fighting in the matrix. What do school teachers do? They teach us the basics.
Just getting a level check from around town. Shout out to everyone's locked onto the Facebook, locked onto the Instagram. It's your boy Wayne Jordon. Big shout out to Mr. Sanders. Big shout out to Aaron locked in. Big shout out to Rebecca locked in. Big shout out to Faye locked in.
You can say so what? Even up in East London, they say
this is the Wayne Jordon show.
Wayne Jordon show.
And we have such an incredible topic to cover today.
They're trying to get us to stay in our homes, surfing the net, chatting crap on our phones.
Big welcome to everyone's locked in now. The phone line crew, 07534 160721. Again, 07534 160721. Yes!
I feel like I'm
the Wayne Jordon show.
My head is going round and round.
And if you just locked in, it's the Wayne Jordon show. You are locked into an incredible show. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours discussing racism, alright? Anti-racism. But I want to play some music first. I want to get you in the mood. Hope the levels are sounding good. Check this one.
The Wayne Jordon show.
Take it in, take it in, take it in. What up, Kerry? Shout out, Nads. Mic check, 1, 2. Yes, we're sounding good. It's been a long time coming. So we're discussing anti-racism, guys. Phone lines already starting to pop. My name is Wayne Jordon. I'll be your host for the next 2 hours. And this is all about powers. This is all about coming together, showing solidarity, unity. And when I was young, just giving you a bit about me. When I was younger, shall I say, I experienced racism. The first time that I ever experienced racism was when I was 5 years old. I was 5 years old and I was in a school canteen. And in that school canteen, I went to get a sandwich. I don't know what the sandwich was, but I just went to get a sandwich. And like I said, I was 5 years old, the same age as what my son is now. And when I went to get a sandwich, there was a young white girl behind me. And she said, "Why are you getting that sandwich?" And I said, "Why not?" And she said, "Oh wow, because brown bread is for black people and white bread is for white people." And I was confused. I went home to Mum. I said, "Mum, like, why didn't you tell me that brown bread was for black people and white bread was for white people?" She said, "Where did you hear that?" I said, "Mum, some girl at school said it." She said, "That's silly. She's learned that. Unfortunately, that's what she's learned. That's what she's learned." I want to know about your experiences. Any experiences, let me know. 07534160721. Another piece of racism I experienced was when I had my first girlfriend at school. I was in year 8 or year 9. I won't say her name. But she was a white girl. And this was in the days when the NF, the National Front, was still around. And National Front were really dying out by the time I got to school, but I know they were very prevalent in sort of the 80s. And National Front were a race who didn't like black people in England and done what they could to kind of, you know, to intimidate and to get them out or whatever. And what happened was, I was on my way home from school and a few of them used to kind of follow me and taunt me and shout at me and be you black this, you black that, leave our women alone type thing. And that really intimidated me. That was my first experience of bullying, let alone racism. It was just bullying, wasn't it? And I was told to kind of, you know, I was told, like my granddad always said, if there's always trouble, you must walk away. And I walked away. I did walk away, I can't lie. But that was racism there. And I guess at that age I thought it was normal. I thought, well, yeah, we just live in a racist world. I didn't know how it would affect me economically, mentally, emotionally at that time. You know? And so, as years went past, I kind of experienced or saw different examples of racism. I went to the countryside once and there were some white children there and they were saying black this, black that. Black swing, should we get on the black bike? You know, because they'd never seen a black person. And I was like, whoa. And you know what I'd done? I was just the nicest person ever. Because I thought they've never seen a black person before. And I can rise to the stereotype and be like, boo, it's the boogeyman. But you know, I was like, you know, they're young and these are the things that you have to endure. Getting older, I got into jobs where I started to notice it more. And the older that you get, the more that you start to notice it. And I was in a job one time when they categorically said, you need a formal qualification to be a manager. And I was like, okay, cool. So what happened is, a white lady came and joined the organisation. And I had already enrolled into my formal qualification. And this white lady, very amazing white lady, I won't say her name, but she's incredible, great friend of mine still, but she had no formal qualification whatsoever. And literally within 6 months of her joining the organisation, you guessed it guys, she was a manager. She was a manager. And I was like, wow, I've got another like 2.5 years of this formal qualification. And it was in the documentation, like, and I don't know, I guess I was too young, too ignorant to kind of take it further and appeal against it. And I just kept my head down, I studied, and eventually become the manager of that organisation. But I just had to go the long way around. If you're black and you're growing up in England, in the United Kingdom, you'll know this one. Do you remember your parents saying, you gotta work twice as hard? You gotta work twice as hard, man. Why is that? You gotta work twice as hard as the white kids. And when my mum used to say that to me, I didn't understand why. But now you do. White privilege, isn't it? There's white privilege. Some of these conversations we'll be having today will be quite uncomfortable, guys. But we gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable. Big shout out to Fresh Mez locked in. Big shout out to Carl. Big shout out to Dawn locked in. Big shout out to the Facebook crew. Big shout out to the Instagram crew. We're going in. Big shout out to my cousins in America. Alright guys, we're going to break some stuff down. My dear mother, hold down. I've got some incredible music for you as well. But before we get into that, remember guys, this is the Wayne Jordon Show.
Wayne Jordon Show.
That was a bit loud, wasn't it? It's been a long time coming, change gonna come. That one's dedicated to my mumsy who said, can I please play that song? What up Carl? We said, my bro, all love, all good. So yeah. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? This is the Wayne Jordon Show. If you just locked in, it is the Wayne Jordon Show live in effect. And we're discussing anti-racism. And before we start, guys, I just want to say, let's just start it off from here. I don't care whether you're black, white, old, young, tall, small, green, whatever. You are my brother, you are my sister. I don't buy into all this separation stuff. I'm gonna make that clear from now. When I was younger, in my 20s, I was like, oh my God, white people, oh my God. What am I gonna do, oh my God. The world is so harsh. They're out for me. But you know Malcolm X? Remember Malcolm X? He was like a militant against white people. He was like, oh my God, white devils, this, that, and the other. And that's what he preached, and that's what he was trying to kind of do. That was some of his rhetoric. That white people are devils. But you know what? He went on a pilgrimage to Mecca. And when he went to Mecca, he discovered white people who were more righteous than himself, who had no inch of racism in their heart whatsoever. And when he come back, he was like, yo, I've made a mistake, man. I've made a mistake. There are some black people who are bad. There are white people who are bad. There are Asians who are bad. And there were white people who are great. Asians who are great. And he was about to kind of unleash this new message to the world. And then we know what happens. Boom, boom. So yeah, I want to make that clear from the get-go, guys. I'm going to play the devil's advocate on this show today. I'm going to be presenting loads of views and opinions. What up, Sean Anderson? I see you, Sean. What's good, my bro? But yeah, it's an open conversation. If you'd like to call in, it's 07534160721. And I've got a mixed race son. One day he's going to grow up and see the world for what it is. He's going to identify that he's a black man. And I've got to be prepared for all these questions. I've got to prepare the society for him for when he grows up. So that's what I'm saying, guys. My position and what I'm trying to do is spread love and take it from there. Alright guys, so I want to know, have you ever experienced racism? Have you ever experienced racism, whether you're white or you're black? Leave me a comment in the comments, let me know. Say yes or no, just yes or no. I just want to know, have you ever experienced racism in your life? Big shout out to Rosie, big shout out to Nicholas and Lenny. Yes, Nicholas, Lenny. Yes, KC Sounds, locked in, locked on. Okay guys, on today's show, I want to make it clear, I am not the ambassador for the black race. I am not the ambassador. Listen, we all think different things, guys. So don't listen to what I say and think, okay, all black people think the same. Because I know all white people don't think the same. All Asian people don't think the same. Because you know what? We're individuals. And we've got our own minds. Am I lying? So on today's show, woo, pressing all sorts of buttons here. On today's show, the aims and objectives. The aims and objectives of today's show is this. The aims and objectives of today's show is to encourage people who are not black. Okay? The aims and objectives of this show is to encourage people who are not black to speak up against the injustices of institutional and systematic racism. That's one of the aims of the show. Okay? Number 2. To give a platform and a voice to anyone, in particular those who are non-black, to speak up and be comfortable in being uncomfortable. The conversation is uncomfortable, guys, but it's to be it's to be comfortable in being uncomfortable to move the conversation forward. Okay? Another aim of the show is to provide some practical methods which will move us closer to one another as a human race, which will eventually lead to a global solution. Another aim of this show is to encourage white people to use their white privilege to help combat any examples of racism. There you go. That's the aims of the show, guy. That's the aims of the show today. Now, what I am conscious of, guys, what I'm conscious of is that we fling around all of these words. You know, we fling around all of these words like institutional racism. What is institutional racism, guys? What is it? Institutional racism. Institutional racism is a form of racism that exists in institutional settings, usually of a social or political nature. The Metropolitan Police was famously branded institutionally racist in 1999 by Sir William Macpherson, who led the public inquiry into the fatal stabbing of black teenager Stephen Lawrence in 1993. Institutional racism, guys. It's when you got racism in institutions, when injustices happen to people of colour and it's not looked into. It is not something that is taken seriously. There's no justice. That is institutional racism. When I was working at my workplace and I was told I had to get a formal qualification to get to a certain point, but yet someone else that was white was able to get ahead of me without that qualification, that is what you would describe as institutional racism. Okay? Comfortable. What is comfortable? So I said in the aims and objectives, I would like us to be comfortable with uncomfortable conversations. But let's get on the same page, guys. What is comfortable? Being comfortable is this. The dictionary describes being comfortable as providing physical ease and relaxation. Cozy, snug, warm, pleasant, nice, restful, safe, secure. Guys, that's what the conversation is not. The conversation is not that. The conversation is not cozy. It's not snug. It's not warm. It's not pleasant. It's not enjoyable. It's not agreeable. It's not sheltered. It's not secure. It's not safe. But these are the conversations that we must have going forward, man. YFM are saying, oh my gosh, yes, racism from YFM. Okay, I need to check that message out. People have experienced racism in their lives. So, guys, listen. It's about being comfortable, being uncomfortable with these types of conversations. Yeah? I also mentioned white privilege. I mentioned white privilege as well. Let's make sure we're all on the same page, guys. What is white privilege? What is it? White privilege is the unearned, mostly unacknowledged social advantage white people have over other racial groups simply because they are white. That's what white privilege is when you can advance for no reason other than your skin colour. You haven't earned anything, you haven't studied, you haven't, done anything to get where you are, but yet you're there because of the pigmentation of your skin. That's what white privilege is. Another word that's been flung around, guys, is unconscious bias. We need to understand these words, guys, because they're being hurled around in the media, hurled around everywhere. But unconscious bias, guys. What is unconscious bias? Unconscious bias is, otherwise known as implicit biases, are inherent or learned stereotypes about people that everyone forms without realizing it. White people who don't speak up leaves doubt in my mind, and it leads you to come to your own conclusions. So, guys, don't be uncomfortable with me saying white people, black people, da-da-da. That's just the conversation which we need to be having, guys, openly. Doesn't mean you're racist, doesn't mean you're aggressive, doesn't mean you're attacking. It's just a conversation that we need to have. So unconscious bias is something that's been flung around. It's learned stereotypes about people that everyone forms without realizing it. So you might not know anything about a race, you might not know anything about a particular people, but because you've heard certain things, you form up an opinion of that race in your head, and you're like, whoa, that's who you are, So that's what we'll be looking at for today. I've got a range of opinions from other people. Guys, get your comments in. Let me know what you think about anti-racism. Let me know what you think is the way to go forward. I've got incredible voice notes from Talapaton, Dave McQueen, and various other people on the show for today. Okay? What I'm going to do is go into another song. This one is called Voodoo Doll by the one and only Fizzy. It's called Voodoo Doll. Check this one out. Then after that, we're going to go into some live opinions from the people there. Live opinions from the people then. But if you are locked in, if you're on the Instagram live, if you're on the Facebook, let me know, what do you think is the way forward in order to get rid of racism forever? Or can it be done? Furthermore, that's a better question. That's a better question. Do you think racism will ever be eradicated from society? Yes or no? Will racism ever be eradicated from society? Yes or no? You ready? Voodoo Doll, Fizzy.
Black people do something to protect themselves. I honestly believe that the day that they do, many whites will have more respect for them, and that there will be more whites on their side than are now on their side with these little wishy-washy love thy enemy approach that they've been using up to now. And if I'm wrong, then you are racialist.
Yes, that one, Voodoo Doll by the one and only Fizzy. What are you saying, guys? We are discussing Black Lives Matter. We are discussing anti-racism. Do you think there is a time when there will be no racism left in this planet, left on this world? Do you think that's possible? Guys, I'm going to get into some live commentary from the people, guys. The first one is from a 21-year-old mixed-race person from London, okay? And he's leaving his opinion. I'm not going to say his name. He didn't want his name mentioned. I said, that's fine. But I've got some opinions for you to listen to, guys. Check this out.
Racial situation that's been happening of recent, and that's been happening for a number of years, hundreds of years. Unfortunately, it's taken another black life for the world to wake up and realize that black lives are at risk. When we say Black Lives Matter, we know all lives matter, we know white lives matter. It just so happens to be that black lives have never really mattered to the rest of the world. And right now, and has been for a very long time, black lives are at risk. So we're asking you as white people, we're asking you as every human being out there, if you can't understand us, stand with us. It's 2020. Statues of slave traders are being taken down all now. It's not good enough. We're meant to be the most intelligent beings, yeah? We're meant to be top of the food chain. Smart. That's what we're meant to be. Yet, we're fighting over each other because of the pigment of someone's skin. Far from it.
Can you hear that now, guys? I'm seeing on the IG Live, you can't really hear it. Let me know if you can hear that.
Intelligent, if you ask me. As I said before, there's only one race, and that's the human race. Quicker we realize it, better the world will be. Black Lives Matter. Educate yourselves. Educate your sons, your daughters. The future of the human race can't be this. I don't want to be going to protests when I'm 30, when I'm 40. I don't want my kids to be going to protests. I want them to be born with freedom, with human rights. We shouldn't have to fight for our human rights. We shouldn't have to fight for freedom. And it's about time the world realizes that.
All right, that young man is 21 years old, mixed race from London, sharing his opinions. We're going to go to middle-aged white lady. Check this.
Hi Wayne, probably not the right person to be having a say maybe, but being white and almost 60, so not exactly youthful. But in my opinion, every decent person should be outraged by what happened to George Floyd in the States, no question about that at all. But I think what we need to do, all need to do, is to make sure everyone over here keeps their heads. We need to be able to have a calm dialogue about what is right and what we need to change. More calm talking and definitely more listening. That's why we were given one mouth and two ears. I think more good will come out of it this way. I also think if we're going to demonstrate, we should be demonstrating about the young people in the UK who have had their lives cut short by the insidious knife gang culture that has invaded many people's lives. A couple of years ago, I went to photograph a demonstration by a group of people who have been affected by this and were asking for change. I can tell you there are probably no more than about 50 people there, but their effect on the people who stopped to talk to them was profound. People were able to approach them, including me, and we were able to speak to them about the people they had lost and what they would like to see happen going forward. No hollow shouting, but real ideas of how we could help to make things better in the future. A much more proactive approach and a catalyst for change, in my opinion. As a young woman in the 70s and 80s, sexism was rife and us women had to prove we were better than men. Not right, but that's exactly how it was. Even now, as I'm older, people still judge me on my abilities, on how I look. It's wrong, but how can I change it? I can change it by proving people wrong, and nothing gives me more pleasure than that, I can tell you.
Alright, okay, so that's a middle-aged white lady there, 60 years old, speaking about proving people wrong, being able to prove people wrong. And I guess that's very important as well, like when you experience racism or when you are in a racist environment and everyone expects you to behave a certain way, how are you going to react? You know, are you going to live up to the stereotype? Are you going to continue listening to racist jokes? Or are you going to prove people wrong? Are you going to make a stand? What are you going to do? Alright, moving on to another opinion, check this.
It's appalling and saddening that in 2020 racism is still an issue. As a middle-aged white man, I cannot imagine what it must be like to be judged on the colour of your skin, not the person you are. The world is in a state of flux. In these strange days during the coronavirus pandemic, we have seen acts of great kindness, and in the anti-racist protests, we have seen globally crowds of people of many ethnic backgrounds all coming together, which is a sign of hope, right? This is a time for change. Moving forward, I think it is important to challenge casual racism whenever it is used, and to question, why would you say something like that? Do you really believe that? Do you really think that? To make people consider what they say and to question their beliefs. It is from here that a change of minds and acceptability needs to take place.
Yes, so that was from a gentleman. That was from a gentleman called Peter. All right, he's probably about 60 years old, white guy, and he's speaking up. He's saying his opinions. He says absolutely disgusting. I've got loads more, guys. What do you think of that? What do you think? What do you think? How do you feel? What's going on? Moving on. You ready?
I support Black Lives Matter 100%. I believe all lives matter too. We are now in the 21st century and this should be history. Why is it happening over and over? I have experienced racism numerous times, but I've rised above it. I have a 10-year-old son and I shouldn't have to explain what we are currently witnessing. I should be telling him about Black history and not explaining how a man died due to the color of his skin. Black Lives Matter is about letting our voices be heard, standing up for what we believe in and the fight against racism. This will help protect our children and their children in the future. It's great to see how the world has turned out in the support for George Floyd's story that touched so many people. I hope this fight will end here and this will be history. This generation has a strong fight in them and I believe we will see change. I don't see people for the color of their skin, but what they offer to society. I feel as a human race, in order for us to move forward, is to start showing respect and support to each other. People need to stop seeing skin color and treat everyone the same. Let's work together to support and guide one another to the right paths in life instead of one group dominating the world. We all should be free to go and do anything without feeling a sense of we don't belong. Black Lives Matter.
Yes, that was an incredible opinion right there. Okay, thank you for that. Keep them coming in. If you have an opinion, if you want to speak to me, 07534-160-160-721. Okay, big up to everyone that's in the live feed. Shout out to Kerry, shout out to Biano, shout out to Fresh Meds, shout out to Rosie, shout out to Taz. That's a mirror, isn't it? Shout out to Myri, what's good? Shout out to YFM, shout out to Carl. Yes. Black history, guys. Do you think black history needs to be taught more in schools? Should it be taught more in schools? Should it be more prevalent in the curriculum? Does the curriculum accommodate for black history? If you're a teacher, let me know in the comments right now, guys. You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. Get at me on the phone line 07534-160-721. Should black history be taught more in schools? Is it up to schools to do it, or is it up to the parents? What's your opinions, guys? What is your opinions? Kerry just straight up said definitely. She said definitely. Absolutely. Now, Kerry, you are a childminder. Okay, when should it be taught from? Should black history be taught from, from toddler, from primary, secondary? When should we start to introduce black history? When should it start to be introduced into the curriculum? Yeah? Let's get some opinions in. I'm going to get some more voice notes played.
My thoughts around Black Lives Matter and anti-racism situation right now, I think it...
Check this.
George Floyd's murder was disgusting, barbaric. I went along to the protest last Saturday. It was so powerful to see people of all ages and races coming together and making a stand. While I was there, I come across a board saying, I understand that I don't understand, but I stand. For me, as a white woman, that just stood out. There needs to be more white people of any age to be speaking out, making a stand, and not saying nothing. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, it's important. I think it's come a time now where people just need to speak. Stop being silent, they need to speak. It all needs to stop. How many more black lives are going to be taken, affected? Yes, it's really
All right, there you go. That was a great opinion from Kerry there. And what I really liked about what she was saying is that, she said George Floyd was disgusting. Obviously, we know that what happened to George Floyd was disgusting, but it's bittersweet, isn't it? Because George Floyd has, in many ways, allowed or encouraged Kerry to speak up. In many ways, to use her white privilege to speak up and to speak out about the injustices. It's bittersweet. And also what she said is that she went to a protest. And for any white listeners out there, this was one of the most incredible banners that I saw. And the banner said, I understand that I don't understand, but I stand. If you are a white person right now and you're listening, does that resonate with you? What do you think of that? Leave me a comment right now. I understand that I don't understand, but I stand. What does that mean to you? Leave me a comment. Loads of comments coming through on the IG Live with regards to education being in schools. Carl, you are there. Carl, you work with Key Stage, is it Key Stage 2? All the way right up to secondary. What do you think, bro? Should Black history be introduced to primary school children? We've both got young sons. Should we start doing that in schools, or should we do it as parents? How should we approach this? Thank you very much, Carl, for always supporting. Kerry saying definitely should be taught in schools. Becky is saying school and the home. Yes, it should, from the school and the home. Now, my question is this. If you are a white family, will you start teaching black history to your white family? Is that something that should happen? Should that happen? I'm just asking the question. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. Should that happen? Woe FM is saying 100%. I think Leanne is the one that's behind YFM's comments. She's saying 100%. She's saying the black... Oops, I've just switched the screen around, my bad. She's saying the black history we get taught in school starts and ends with slavery. Very, very true. Very, very true. The black history that we get taught in schools does start and end with slavery. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I remember being in school and the first black person I saw in the history book was in chains and shackles. I was like, whoa, what is this? What's going on? In fact, I lie. I didn't even question it. You just mindlessly absorb it. It's not even a thing. Like you think, oh, that was black people back then. So, but I guess back then I didn't understand the psychological impact that would have on me going forward. You know what I mean? It's almost empowerment for the white members of the class from day one, from school. Like, wow, like white people were in charge of black people. That's what you get taught in schools, in the curriculum. And wow, crazy. But just to clear up something on that, guys, just to let you know, slaves were not taken from Africa. All right, I just want to make that clear. All right, if you're having conversations around the dinner table and you're speaking about what happened in you know, back in the days where the slave trade was booming, slaves were not taken from Africa, guys. Who was taken from Africa? Who was taken from Africa? Get your comments down. It wasn't slaves. Who was taken from Africa? Write your comments down. What do you think? Who was taken from Africa? I'm going to come back to that. So the black history we got taught in schools. Okay, so black history. Yeah, black history shows in schools that we've only been around for 500 years. Tamira is a teacher in secondary education. She says absolutely it needs to cover British history in its entirety, not just the parts that glorify Britain and its colonial power over nations globally. Amira, I've got your opinion playing next, so stay locked, stay tuned. Rosie's saying definitely needs to be taught in schools, and Kerry is saying it should come from home and schools. Now, Kerry, what if you are a white family? What if you're a mixed family? How do you go about that? Do you learn together, or do you learn as like, you know, as the parents and then pass it down to the children? What's the way forward with that? Carl is saying there is a part of me that thinks it's not that black history needs to be taught, but more that white history needs to be taught correctly. And if it is black history, and if it is, black history will naturally be in there. Interesting. I don't think I've given that justice. That's probably not the way that you said it, but I understand. So there's a part of you that thinks that it's not how black history needs to be taught, but more how white history needs to be taught correctly. And if it's taught correctly, black history will naturally be embedded in there. Love that, love that, love that. What an interesting perspective. Guys, who came from Africa? Were slaves taken from Africa? Were slaves taken from Africa? I'm telling you, slaves were not taken from Africa. Who was taken from Africa? Get your thoughts and opinions in the comments right now. Get them in there, get them in there, get them in there. I'm going to give you another voice note coming from the one and only Amira. She is a teacher. Check this out.
My thoughts around Black Lives Matter and anti-racism situation right now, I think is a pivotal moment in history. And I think it's almost like a cork on a bottle that was inevitably going to pop off, and it was only a matter of time. I think this whole the whole concept of racism has been disguised and diluted to the point where it's almost acceptable because it's not blatantly in your face all of the time, but it is still there. From my personal experience growing up as a young brown girl in a predominantly white area, you could count all the ethnic students on one hand. And I vividly remember a time in my life where I remembered thinking, I wish I was white. I wish I had brown hair or blonde hair and could be like that. But it took me a couple of years to realise the
Oh! I just had to pick up on that point instantly. She was quite honest in saying that there was a point where she said, "I wish I was white." Imagine the indoctrination. Imagine the just the feelings of being young and growing up in this country, and just the white privilege is so prevalent around you that you think, "I wish I was white." Wow, why would you want to wish away your colour? You know, as a child. Wow, but you know, we also get people who are bleaching their skin to be lighter. Is this the effects of Willie Lynch? If you don't know who Willie Lynch is, guys, get on Google, have a look now. Loads of comments are coming in on the IG. Guys, the question is, who was taken from Africa? I'm telling you, it wasn't slaves. Who was taken from Africa? It was not slaves. Get your ideas in. Amira, I interrupted you. My apologies.
Beauty within my darkness, if you like. And I think that's an issue that we do need to acknowledge. And in terms of the situation right now, it's only a matter of time. Like, I've started to learn things. I've even found out things that, you know, the taxpayers only 3 years ago only stopped paying for the compensation for those slave owners. I mean, how is this still happening?
Amira, sorry, I have to interrupt you again. I found that as well. Taxpayers in 2015 only stopped paying compensation for the losses for slave owners when they freed the slaves. The government had to pay them compensation, and they've only just stopped paying. And they were paying these slave owners through taxpayers' money. You know, when you get the pay slip and it says income tax, and that tax goes to government spending, some of that government spending is going to like slave owners or the descendants of slave owners for all their losses of earnings. Can you believe that? Someone described that to me as, it's almost like the slave owners were on furlough. You know what furlough is now in these times of the pandemics. Loads of people have been furloughed. All right? It's almost like these slave owners have had furlough for like hundreds of years, like 100 years. That was mind-blowing. Amira, I keep on interrupting you. I do apologize, but you're shutting it down.
In the 21st century, really? It just doesn't make sense to me. And in terms of what we can do to move forward as a human race, or as a teacher, as an educator, I'm bringing it into my classrooms as of next week with my year 10s that I'm going to see twice a week. You know, one lesson a week for these 6 classes that I'll see. You know, I'm going to try and bring it in with poetry, extracts from the news. I've even bought a few other books about black cultural power, and I think we need to embed it within our education. There's one thing called the black curriculum, and I think, you know, why celebrate black history for 1 month? And what about the truth about black history? I only learned about how even my own people in Mauritius, we were part of the British experiment, indentured slavery, you know? So why do we have to wait until after school for us to kind of learn and realise the truth? And I think that's where we can make the change. Knowledge is power. We need to educate our young people on how they can actually face the realities that we're living with, and we need to make a change. So why not? They've got the chance. They're the generation of the future. They've got the opportunity in their hands to make a stand and make a change.
Blown away. Loads of incredible points in there. And Carl is laughing at the furlough point. But it's true. It's like these slave owners have been on furlough for all these years. Oh my gosh. Like, what do you do? What do you do, guys? I'm going to take a little quick break just to kind of play a song. Well, my granddad come here in the late 50s. I think 1958. Mumsy, if you're locked in, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure it's 1958. And when he came here, he was actually coming here to build up the country, drive the buses, along with all of the nurses and all of the helpers that came up to build the NHS, build London Transport after the Second World War. It was crazy. And this was the song that come from, I think Guyana. All right, check this out from Lord Kitchener. It's called London is the Place for Me. London is the... Check this out.
London is the place for me. London.
Listen to the lyrics.
Is a lovely city. You can go to France or America, India, Asia, or
Sing!
Australia.
London is the place for me. Listen close.
Well, believe me, I am speaking broad-mindedly. I am glad to know my mother country. I've been traveling to countries years ago, but this the place I wanted to know.
London is the place for me. London is the place for me. So in the late 50s, guys, this tune was broadcast all across the Caribbean. This guy called Lord Kitchener was basically the equivalent of Burna Boy, or you know, Maxi Priest, or like, you know, like a big kind of calypso artist back in the day. He was massive, and they broadcast it there. Calypsonian music. Yeah, that's what it is. This song was broadcast. It's called London is a Place for Me, and the lyrics are saying that London is incredible, like in terms of like the Londoners there will look after you, they will take you around, they will give you tours. That's not the experience that my granddad had. That's not the experience. When he come here, he said, oh my God, like the people here, the white people here wouldn't even look at him. There was racism, the country was broken down, there was litter, it was just like rubble, broken after the Second World War, nothing like it was described. So I've got a remix to London is a Place for Me. Check this out, check this out.
Tear gas has been fired in London's Trafalgar Square as London police are trying to keep anti-racism protesters far apart from far-right activists. Rival protesters have scuffled with police amid the tear gas. Far-right protesters say they're out to protect national monuments from vandalism by the Black Lives Matter supporters. Throwing bottles and cans, some have pushed through police lines. The racism protest was cancelled, citing safety concerns, while others have gone forward. And DW correspondent Birgit Maas is at Trafalgar Square for us. Birgit, what is happening where you are now?
Well, you can see behind me there's a group of protesters calling no justice, no peace. It's a small group of protesters because the really large demonstration that was planned for today was called off for fear of clashes with far-right protesters. So it's only a small group, a small march that went through the town, and there have been clashes here before. I didn't witness it personally, but people have told me that there were injuries, that far-right protesters tried and attacked the Black Lives Matter protesters here behind me. There were...
London is the place for me. Taking that back. Yes, Carl quite rightly said that in the Caribbean they was told that oh, granddad, I was like, I feel, do you know what? My heart goes out to that generation who come with the Windrush, and after that, like, they were told that the streets were paved with gold. So imagine being in like Barbados or Jamaica or wherever it was, and they put out like apprenticeship posters saying, come to the mother country. You know the mother country? What's the mother country? You think of mum, someone who nurtures, who looks after you. Obviously, Britain had colonialised many countries in the Caribbean, if not all of them. And so England was known as the mother country. So they were saying, come to the motherland. The streets are paved with gold. and I was like, whoa, granddad, were the streets paved with gold? He's no, there was all soot. You walked in the streets, your shoes got dirty. You know what I'm saying? But my granddad worked for years, and him and all his peers worked for years within London Transport, building up London Transport. They were proud. They were proud to have the suit and the hat and the little conductor machine. I don't know if you remember that, you're probably too young to some listeners, but they were proud and they built that up. And the nurses in the NHS built that up to what it is now, only for certain people within the UK government just to say, we don't care. We've got what we want now, we don't care. What is going on? Wow. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to move into another live opinion. This one's from River Jordon. River Jordon. He's not related to me, but this one's from River Jordon. Check this out. He's got some incredible points here.
Say nothing, my brother. Don't know if River Jordon speaking. Personally, as far as Black Lives Matters goes...
Oh, let me stop there. I did ask, who was taken from Africa? Who was taken from Africa? Was it slaves? Were slaves taken from Africa? I got a range of answers coming through on the IG Live, let's have a look. Faye said, who was taken from Africa? Men, women and children. Exactly. It wasn't slaves taken from Africa, because in Africa they were free. Men, women and children. Kerry said people that could build up Britain. Yes, and America and other places. Absolutely. Absolutely. Rosie said it was children, men and women who were brought from Africa. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Carl saying normal people were taken from Africa. Yes, normal people. Absolutely. And I want to take it a step further, guys. Let me tell you who was taken from Africa. All right? Doctors, nurses, architects, mathematicians, and so on and so forth. The list goes on. You know what I'm saying? Normal people were taken from Africa. Teachers, teaching assistants, like there was civilization there. Like it was already a functioning society. Like the history books say that that people running around with a bone in their nose, like, you know what I mean? Not knowing what's going on. It's ridiculous how history is like portrayed throughout the British curriculum. This is crazy. But like normal people, like what Kerry said, what Amira said, normal people were taken from Africa, guys. Normal people. Now, next one that I've got is from River Jordon. Okay, he's got a very interesting perspective here. Check this out.
Say nothing, my brother. Don't know if River Jordon speaking. Personally, as far as Black Lives Matters goes, it's quite deep still. A whole lot of things are triggering right now, and the change that's going on I think is nice. But for me personally, yeah, I kind of need to keep my mental health in check, because if I'm not level, grounded and centered, there's nothing I can really bring to the movement or to the collective. Definitely black people are being killed disproportionately in America, and that's what's the talk of the town right now still. It's peak, I hear that, and it needs to stop still. In terms of how we can move forward as a human race, I don't believe my personal legend is as a newscaster or a news spreader. For me personally, my personal legend is as a musician. That's the heritage and the tradition I come from. And at this time, what I think I can personally do is bring some good music with a good message and a good topic that people can tune in and vibe to. So that's what I'm working on, and I'm trying to get things concerning my music together. That wave is great still. Just for me right now, when it comes to the time for me to ride it, I will ride it. And when it comes for riding, time to ride, innit? But yeah, me going and standing up in no protests has not happened yet. Not to say that it won't happen. But for me, the central point of the whole argument is a lot of people love things and they use people. And we just need to get to the point where we love people and use things. And yeah, the G said 3 minutes, so for me, yeah. Big up all the people them that are putting strong positive energy towards supporting Black Lives Matter. And love people, use things. That's what I got to say, my brother. Still.
Yes. Yeah, so that was from River Jordan, and he brought up an interesting point about being mentally stable. And I thought that as well, because there was an incident, like, there's these protests that are happening, and everyone is invited to these protests, and not everyone that comes to these protests are mentally stable. I work in a gym, right? I work in a gym, and it's like, the gym will let anybody in as long as you have money. As long as you have money, okay? Anyone can walk in, which means sometimes, like, you'll be in the gym and you'll be speaking to someone and they're like a bit unhinged. You're like, whoa. And I think, imagine like just mentally unhinged people going up to protests. Like, that's just crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And can have detrimental effects to the message that's trying to happen. But let's speak about the protest for a little minute. Let's speak about the statues that are getting pulled down, guys. You've seen the statues. You've seen what's happened. You've seen, the slave master statue being pulled down. And interestingly enough, it was from like many white people that were pulling the statues down. I was like, whoa, like what's going on here? That's incredible. What do you think of that? Should the statues be pulled down? Is that erasing white history? Should the statues be pulled down? Alright? Let me know. Listen, guys that are on the IG Live, please stay with me. I've got about 1 minute and 30 seconds left on this IG Live. I'm going to stop it and I'm going to come back on the other side with a new stream. Please all join again, yeah? Big shout out to China Black, who's just locked in. What's good? Big shout out to Kerry. Big shout out to everybody hates Driss. Big shout out to Carl. Carl said, it's what my dad told me they said. Yeah, Carl, I heard the streets were paved with gold. That's what my granddad said. The streets were paved with gold. Listen, I've got 1 minute left on this stream. Nadia's saying, to be honest, I don't know why the statues were still up till all now. Absolutely. Guys, should the statues have been pulled down? Hold your comments. Hold your comments. Don't type them in this chat. I'm going to end this one. We're going to come back on the other side, yeah? I'm going to play some music for the people listening live on the TuneIn app or on the FM dial. Okay, guys, if you are still listening outside there, I'm going to play a song called One Blood, yeah? This is a big boy rhythm. Check this out.
Because it's scary and there's a risk, isn't there, of offending someone that you didn't mean to offend, or saying something in the wrong way and being misinterpreted. But like I said to you, the most important thing is that we're not quiet and we all talk and try and learn from each other and communicate. So I think that in terms of my opinion as a white woman in the UK, there was a quote that I saw on Twitter by Dwayne Reed, and it made a lot, for me, it made the most sense so far for me. And it said, white supremacy won't die until white people see it as a white issue that they need to solve, rather than a black issue that they need to empathise with. And that's it for me. This is a institutional, founded, historic, systematic problem that white people have created and perpetuated and allowed, even if subconsciously, or just the normalising of micro racism, or whatever you want to term it. Now is the time to kind of hold our hands up and say we need to learn, we need to destroy the structure and build it from the beginning again. And I find all the it's really complex, isn't it? Like the, you know, seeing these amazing moments, like when you know, historical figures that for years and years I'm sure people have been pushing to you know, pull down these statues of figures that did so much harm, caused so much pain, and just
Yo, I just want to stop it there, guys. That's Faye speaking out, and she's touching on the statues that are being pulled down, guys. Do you agree? Do you, like, not even do you agree, but what are your thoughts about the statues? They've been there for years. Should they be pulled down? Should Winston Churchill statue be pulled down? He made a few racist comments, but as Piers Morgan said, check this out. Check this out. Listen, I'm just playing both sides of the argument right here. I'm playing my position right now.
You may have different views about the tearing down of Colston's statue in Bristol. Of course, it used to stand in the centre of Bristol, and it was taken down. Now, he was a slave trader. He traded at the Royal African Company hundreds of thousands of African slaves. Around 20,000 died.
Men, women, children shackled and were killed during the transportation process, and he was party to it. Now, to me, there's a complete difference between Edward Colston and Winston Churchill. One saved us from the Nazis, and one made a fortune off the slave trade, and used that fortune then to invest back into the community, schools and so on. But I'm sorry, he was using slave trade money to do it. And time has moved on. History, I'm afraid, will judge him, I think, on the slave ownership and trading more than it should on his work for the community.
So there may
and
be
so that statue became an emblem for black people in Bristol that had to walk past it every day and go, so that guy used to own us? That guy used to trade us?
The oversaw death of 10,000
That guy led to 19,000 black people dying in the transportation of
Listen, sometimes you gotta love Piers Morgan, you know. Sometimes you gotta love a bit of Piers. You gotta love a bit of Piers. Yeah, so we're talking about the statues right now. Faye is touching on the statues right now. Check this out.
Destruction. And it's difficult now when you see that happen, and it's an amazing moment, and then you start to go, oh my God, it's everywhere. It's structurally in everything, in every inch of this country, in every road, in every, you know, it's everywhere. And so I struggle with these kind of grand gestures from, you know, whether it's the Mayor of London, and I'm not kind of focusing on him or targeting him at all, but whoever it is in these kind of places of power who are now trying to make grand gestures of, we need to take down, you know, 100 of these statues or whatever. It's like, well, why has it taken till now?
Why?
And that's the question I'm asking myself, as well as, you know, as anyone in power. And I think what I'm fearful of is these powerful people keeping power by giving us little bits, by taking a figure down here, by doing these little bits that to constantly placate the masses so that we get back in our boxes. And I think that what I'm like so enthused by, I suppose, is this like action and this persistent demand for change. And I think we all have to, every single one of us has to take responsibility to now realise that, you know, all the things that people have told us for years about people power, about, you know, unite and we can make a change. And that is really, we've got to keep on that road, you know.
Yes. That was from Faye Hunter. Incredible opinions there. Incredible. What I picked up from Faye, listen, and she quite openly said she's a white lady speaking out about this. First thing, listen to how her message started, and I love this. Check this.
Oof. First, thank you, Wayne.
Did you get? Why did the message start off like that, guys? Why did it start off like that? Because it was uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And this is what I believe is Faye using her white privilege for, I don't want to say the first time ever, but she's using her white privilege to help push forward, the conversation on how to end racism. And it can make you feel like that. Ooh, but that feeling there, that's a human response. You know what I'm saying? Because Faye is a global citizen. We are global citizens. We can feel pain, we can feel sadness, we can feel excitement. That's something that we can all relate to. Am I lying? We can all relate to, like, fear, excitement, joy, pain, depression. We can all relate to that. And that's what she demonstrated as soon as I heard her message. And she was saying to me, Wayne, like, does this sound okay? Is this what you wanted? I was like, what do you mean? Did I want a human response? Yes.
For asking...
Listen, just once more.
Oof.
Right, that's what I absolutely love that. Now, picking up on her points about what she was saying about, she went on, like, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put together all of these messages and put them out for you to hear them in their entirety. But what she went on to say, which I really loved, was the fact that as humans, we can be compassionate towards the black struggle, but compassion is not enough. It's not enough. Compassion is not enough. Now, after the compassion, what's needed is action. So I want you to stay tuned, guys. I've got loads more content to get through, but I'm going to give you some practical steps that I think we can take forward. You may agree, you may disagree, but I've got practical steps for not just white people, not just black people, the human race that we can use to go forward. You can say yes, you can say no, but it may start a conversation in your home. I might not have the answers to everything that you want to know, but I might have the missing piece to your puzzle. All right? Before we went into that one, we were playing this incredible piece of instrumentation. Oh my God. I want to get it on again. Woo! James, I've got to run it again, bro.
You could have come from Rima, or you come from jungle. Could have come from firehouse, or you come from Tower Hill. One blood, one blood, one blood. You could have come from Libya, or you come from America. Could have come from Europe, or you come from Africa. One blood, one blood, one blood.
One blood, guys, one blood. Woo! Andy done.
Hey Bond, great to connect with you. Yeah, here's a little voice note with a few of my thoughts. Yeah, as you said, it's a delicate subject, but it's a subject that we need to address consciously and seriously and stand up to it. So yeah, like all for the Black Lives Matter movement. I've been at 2 protests so far. The first one I was there in spirit, and the second one I was just like fully there, marched the whole way, banners in hand, and I'm just like, as a white person, doing everything I can at the minute, which is on my own development of reading books, watching documentaries, talking to people that have got good personal stories and things that can really help me have a deeper insight into how it affects their everyday life, and then thinking on a more systemic level about what are the problems of the past in the last few hundred years, and then what are the things facing us now. So yeah, your second question about what we do as a human race, I think I guess I can only speak for myself as a white person, that like for most people for me it's about like education, and then it's about influencing. So influencing people around us that either want to know more, want to get behind it, and then influencing up, because I think like typically like higher level decision makers can have a mass influence, like on these documentaries when you see about policy makers, people that are in charge of criminal justice, prisons, the police forces, like the people that are in these positions to make high-level decisions and mass change are the ones that we really need to reach, and that can be done through like protesting, like these big mass gatherings, but it's also putting the pressure on, I don't know, like local councillors and then again for them to like message up and up and up. So it's I know it's so complex, and it's rooted in hundreds and hundreds of years of abusive discrimination and just vile human behaviour, and it's really, really hard as a white person to empathise with the pain, truly, honestly. But I just, you know, luckily now I've got so many amazing black friends and colleagues that I get to hang out with and learn from their perspectives, and I just wish for the world that we can have more love and less discrimination. So hope that helps answer some of your...
Yes, that was from Andy Dunn. Thank you so much, my brother. Always comes through, always supporting. Really love your perspective there. One of the things that Andy said was, in order to move forward, we need to have more protests, more mass gatherings, etc. And I want to kind of just expand on that, because I think protests and mass gatherings, I do agree with that. That's been the strategy, if you like, for years. Protestings and gatherings, etc. I also think that we need, you know, protests and gatherings which are white people heavy. You know, white people led. Like, not saying that white people are the voice for the voiceless, but it's almost like I just want to bring it back to, you know, people who are white being able to use their white privilege. And we described white privilege earlier as this. White privilege is an unearned, mostly unacknowledged social advantage white people have over other racial groups simply because they are white. So let me contextualize that. Okay, put it this way: what if I went to like a house? Okay, let's say I've gone to a house. Me and my white friends, we've gone into a house. We've gone into the house, etc. The house has like an elevator. The elevator goes to the top floor, and on the top floor, let's say it's the Shard. On the top floor is the big boss. The big boss makes all the decisions. Okay, I go to the elevator, I press the button, the elevator will not open. It just won't open. Why? Because I'm black. Okay, cool, fine. All right, cool. So what I do is I go outside the show and I shout out, I say, hey, hey, down here, yeah? It's mad down here. We need more shelter. We need more this, we need more that. Then at the top, they shut the window. Then my white friend goes to the lift, to the elevator, presses the button, and the door opens. Goes up there, goes to the top, sees the big boss, and says nothing. Comes back down, and I say, yo, bruv, what's going on up there? What? And it's, well, I don't know, bruv. I'm saying, yeah, but you've got, like, because of the colour of your skin, you are able to get in the elevator and speak. You're able to get a bit further than I can, bro. So, like, I need you to do that. I need you to let them know the conditions down here, bro, because when I press that button on the elevator, the door's not opening. It's just not opening. No matter what button I press, it's not opening, but you get to press a button and the door opens. And then you can go in and go to whatever floor you want. Whereas I might have to get a crowbar and break the elevator open and run in there, and then it only goes up to the 3rd floor anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I agree with Andy in terms of like using mass gatherings and protests, etc. However, we need a human response. A response of people who has skin shades a bit lighter than mine to join that and to speak up. So I asked earlier about the statues. Should the statues be pulled down? Should they be pulled down? Should they be ripped down? Should they be demolished, destructed? Okay, let's see. Got loads of good responses here. What up, Zoe? Glad you're in the conversation. What's good? What's good? What's good? Now you're saying big tune. Vibes, big up James in the building, face sending hearts and love. Rosie saying, in order for change and as a human race to move forward, the statue should come and be placed in a museum if they want people to know about history and not be up in the public. Put them in a museum so people can see what used to be in society, what used to be normal. This was a normal thing for us to walk past a slave master. Oh look, slave master. Let's go and work now. Nadia has said, I think the statue should be put into museums. She agrees with Rosie. So people can see the disgraceful history that was still standing in the statues until 2020. I agree. Yep, what she means, still standing in the cities until 2020. I get you. Mr. Stanza says, I think the BBC should give an honest documentation of history so everyone can see. Me too. If there's anyone in the BBC that's listening, that's watching, listen, if you can make a difference, please do so. Go through, go forth, and let's do this together. Together we rise. What interview was this from, Sage? This was from, I'll message it to you a bit later, bro. Thanks for joining, thanks for listening, thanks for being involved. Big shout out to Christina Abiola, big shout out to Charlie N. Yes. Big shout out to BU Training, locked in. Louise, locked in. What's good? Loads of other opinions, guys. We've got so many opinions to get through. I'm so pleased at the response, at the human response from just everyone around town. And when I say around town, I mean the community. Everyone's locked in, giving their opinions. I love it. Check this out.
Also, I think it's education. Like, educating people around just different cultures, different ways, different lives, kind of start creating empathy, not empathy for all of it, because obviously education around cultures, I don't want to be sympathy for certain cultures, but there's two things. One is education around cultures, education around just how diverse this world is and how that can be celebrated and how that can be incorporated into daily living. But then on the flip side, the education on the empathy and actually what it is like to be a minority person in a setting and how that makes that individual feel if everyone's sitting eating chicken and they can only eat a halal chicken and there's no halal provided. How does that individual feel if everyone's sat there talking about, I'm trying to think of like a stereotypical white people thing, but if someone sat there talking about a white people thing and you're a black person and you can't get into it, how does that make you feel? So it's kind of getting that knowledge and empathy there as well. But also I think it should just be compulsory in every workplace to have non-prejudice, non-bias training. So I can't remember the name of it, but like the non-bias training.
Okay, what she's talking about is unconscious bias training, guys. So this is a question to all of you guys. Do you feel racism at your workplace? Wherever you work, I don't know where you are, I don't know what you do. Okay, this is a safe space to talk. But do you feel racism at your workplace? Yes or no? I just want to know. Like, is it like not blatant racism, but covert racism? Have you experienced it? Have you seen it? Have you have you encountered any type of racism or seen any evidence of racism at your workplace? Let me know. Get it in the comments right now. And if not, say no, not in my workplace. No, never seen racism in my workplace. No, mate. Where I work, mate, it's sweet as a nut. My best friend's black. No, my best friend down there on the second floor, he's black, mate. No. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we've got Bigger You leaving comments. Have you experienced racism at your workplace? Have you seen it? Is this a thing, or is it just me? Is it just me, like, who has experienced racism in some of the workplaces that I've worked in the past? I remember when I worked in Hackney around 10-15 years ago, and the manager came down, and then there was myself and a white guy, and he'd never met me. He'd never met the white guy ever. Hadn't met us. He sat down in front of us and he said, okay, yeah, you guys, you keep working hard, and let's call the white guy Frank. He goes, and you, Frank, if you keep going, I think in 2 years you'll be a manager, definitely. And then he looked at me and I thought, what's he going to say? He said, Wayne, we appreciate what you do. Just keep working hard. Keep doing what you're doing. I was like, whoa. Where's the manager talk for me, bro? But I don't think he was like racist and such. It was just like, kind of like, he just didn't want to empower me. He just didn't want to, like, he probably saw me as just some little you know, black guy from Southeast London, and was like, oh, well, you know, whatever. Who knows what he was thinking? I'm speculating right now. But this is true stories, guys. Systemic racism. Systemic racism. Come on. Yes, yes, yes. Lift your head up high. That one's Everton Blender. Lift up your head. Yo, before that one, I asked, have you experienced racism in your workplace? Have you experienced it? Is it something that you've come across? And in what capacity? Let's have a look. Okay, so have you experienced racism in your workplace? Miss Kabay says, I haven't in my past role. Are you in your past roles or your past role? What about in the past role? Have you experienced racism? Nadi says, wow. Nadi said, wow. Yeah, man, it's true. Like, the boss sat down to me and my man and was like, my man, yeah, in 2 years, I see you as a manager. He looks at me and said, Wayne, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing really well, mate. You're doing really good. Just saw me as a worker. You know what workplace that is. In 3 years, I was the boss of the whole place. But I had to work damn hard, but I was the boss and manager of the whole place. Miss Kabay says, you was good at what you did. Yeah, Hackney, remember? Remember? I was there. Smashed it through every wall, every bound, like every obstacle they gave me, smashed through it. But I had to work twice as hard. That's what Mum said to me as a kid. Wayne, you got to work twice as hard, mate. You got to work twice as hard. As white people, you got to work twice as hard. What can you do? It's the world we live in. Rosie saying, yes, I have seen it at my workplace. Ooh, and I know where you work as well. Gosh. Carlene said, at present, I am collating stories from staff who have experienced racism. This will be collated and presented to managers for response and changes to be put in place. Love that, Carls. Love that, love that, love that, love that. Okay, Nadia's saying these tunes are Mum's daily rhythms. Yeah, man, come on. Carl's saying Mum's got good taste. Yeah. Now I've just opened up the forum, said, what do you want to hear? Loads of people sent me music and I'm just playing them. Rose is saying jobs are already earmarked for certain individuals, but they let you attend their interview as a formality. You know them ones? Jobs are earmarked for certain individuals, but you attend the job interview as a formality. That's a madness. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Nanny said it reminds her of that film Bugs Life or Ants, when they separated them all from birth on who would be workers or in the upper hierarchy. Absolutely, absolutely. And that film there, I know what film we're talking about. That film has deeper undertones in it. Deeper undertones, trust me. Deeper undertones. Guys, we are getting towards the end of the show, and I feel like I'm just getting into it. I feel like I'm just getting started. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. And we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to continue this conversation. Guys, in the last few minutes of the show, I want you to write down what you think we can do, or what you think you can do. One thing that you can do in order to move forward with this conversation. One thing you can do. That one, Swiss, Cry, banger, classic. Carlene has said, she sent me a text message as it goes. She says, I think our voices are being heard in a different way. The momentum of the Black Lives Matter movement has spread across many people and platforms. Humans are waking up and realising the injustice black people face and how much we have suppressed racism, which is often done to make others feel better or not to be called angry or aggressive if we do stand up to it. To move forward, education needs to change in schools. Conversations need to be had with people outside of the race, informing them of actions that aren't right. These conversations need to come from a place of love and not aggression. I think that is the banger. That is the banger. Let me reload and come again with that. Let me pull up this song. Whoa, that was a bit loud. Let me just pull up this song. Pull up this song. She said these conversations, all of these conversations, need to come from a place of love and not aggression. When we exchange energy with someone, they will reflect our energy, so aggression won't work. I'm going to read that again slowly because I think everyone needs... Listen, if you listen on the radio, Facebook, Instagram, TuneIn app, whatever, listen to this last sentence. And this is look, Carlene, this is deeper than racism. This is relationships in general. This is just being this is, oh my God. These conversations need to come from a place of love. You can speak about a couple here. You could speak about a couple. You could speak about, a couple in a relationship and they're arguing all the time. And you could say this: the conversation needs to come from a place of love and not aggression. When we exchange energy with someone, they will reflect our energy, so aggression won't work. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Respect that, respect to that. Woo! We're coming to the end of the show. I can't even believe it. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. I'm just getting in there. I'm just about getting warmed up. Shout out Akwesi. If you know Akwesi, Spin City General.
Wayne, hello mate. Here's my 2 minutes worth. So when I saw that police officer kneeling on George Floyd's neck, my first reaction was one of horror and disbelief. You know, I know judo, mixed martial arts, I love cage fighting, but I've never seen a man kneel on the neck of another. It's a new thing for me. I was absolutely shocked. And to see his life ebb away slowly as he wet himself and cried for his mother, I cried with him. And I'm crying now talking about it. It's just, George is our Jesus Christ, I think. He has sparked a movement bigger than I've ever seen.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't let those statements go past you. He said, George is our Jesus Christ. Man died for us. Don't let that go over your head. He said, George is our Jesus Christ. He died for us to become awake, for us to be having these conversations now, for us to say these conversations need to be had with love. Crazy love that, man.
Black Lives Matter, which was going on before him, but now it's just huge. There are demonstrations in Japan.
My bad, I'm just messing up the whole thing. Bear with me, guys, bear with me, please bear with me. Please bear with me, these things happen, man.
Wayne, just a bit of my background. I grew up in Ghana, I went to boarding school there. I've never experienced racism before coming to the UK. I didn't even know there was such a thing as colour. Even though I was born here and I grew up in Ghana, I came over here when I was 18 and I felt I was coming to a white man's country. So my attitude was to be better than my white colleagues because I felt I was in a foreign land. I kept my house in order, smiled, was polite at all times, worked harder than anyone I knew to excel in whatever it is I did. There's a saying I like, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I think there's a lesson for black people. Whilst a lot of external forces pushing us down, we can't control them. We can't control the white man, we can't control the white supremacists. Instead of focusing on them, we should look within and try and get our own house in order. We should do our best, obey the law, concentrate on values that are important: family, honesty, hard work, education, love. This isn't just a white problem. We're all in this together and we can make a difference by making our own internal improvements. Those are my words.
Wow, 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 wow. Common theme there. A common theme. A common theme. Love. Love. You know what I'm saying? Bob Marley said it best when he said, let's get it. In fact, I'm going to get that song for the end, I think. Listen, I said, what can we be doing? Listen, guys, I've got loads of feedback from loads of people, yeah? And I'm going to continue the conversation next week. The next DJ isn't even here yet, so I might be able to keep moving. However, I asked you the question, what can be done to move forward? What can be done to move forward? Miss Kibeya said, it was harder for men as there were a lot of women in higher roles than the men. It was harder for the men. There's a lot of, are you talking about the place where we used to work back in the day? Okay, I hear you. Nadia's saying, okay, what what do we need to do to move forward? And Nadia said, I think all I need to do is encourage my white friends to speak up and use their white privilege platform to make the lives of black people equal in society. As black people, we've done enough. Fair point. Fair point, fair comment. Fair point, fair comment. Fair. Nadia's saying black people shouldn't have to keep using their voice to fight for their own. It needs to come from the white people themselves. Okay. And any white person listening, this is not said with aggression. This is not said with any malice. It's just said with, you know, there's a word for it. It's said with not understanding. It's like if you can put the word in the comments. It's like understanding, mutual agreement, kind of love, compassion. Is said with. Mix all that up and tell me what the word is. It's said with that, whatever that is. You know, Rosie Reese is saying we can educate and share personal experiences. Yes, we can educate and share personal experiences. We support and love each other, and we use the word human race. Human race. And on that one right there, on that note right there, have you heard of this lady who destroys racism in 1 minute? You've all heard it, right? You've all heard it. She destroys racism in literally 1 minute. Do you want to hear it? Of course you want to hear it. Check this. 1 minute, racism destroyed. Check it out.
Hate because we're taught to hate. We hate because we're ignorant. We're the product of ignorant people who have been taught an ignorant thing, which is that there are 4 or 5 different races. There are not 4 or 5 different races. There's only one race on the face of the earth, and we're all members of that race, the human race. But we have separated people into races so that some of us can see ourselves as superior to the others. We thought it would work, I guess. It hasn't worked. It has been bad for everyone. But it's time to get over this business. There is no gene for racism. There's no gene for bigotry. You're not born a bigot. You have to learn to be a bigot. Anything you learn, you can unlearn. It's time to unlearn our bigotry. It's time to get over this thing, and we best get over it pretty soon. I'm an educator, and it's my business as an educator to lead people out of ignorance. The ignorance of thinking that you're better or worse than someone else because of the amount of a pigment in your skin. Pigmentation in your skin has nothing to do with intelligence or with your worth as a human being. It's time to get over.
Why do we hate?
1 minute. 1 minute. Yo, she destroyed that in 1 minute. You know, people have been racist because the pigmentation in their skin. Like, that's just incredibly dumb, incredibly thick, incredibly foolish. And yeah, it's all about just realizing how pathetic that is. And Roshan has encapsulated that perfectly in this song.
If you come with me, we can educate for all with the
education.
If you come with me,
easy. Guys, we're coming to the end of the show. It's been incredible. If I didn't read out your comment, if I didn't play your comment, it's because time is of the essence, and I'm going to get them on there next week. All right, the conversation is a conversation that is a continuous one. So I'm going to give some... So Miss Kebe says, moving forward, we need community involvement. Find out what is happening in the council you live in, especially regarding education. Now, I don't just want to skim over these points, like skim the milk. I don't want to skim over the points. Community involvement. Find out what's happening in the council you live in, especially regarding education. How do we do that? Is that like literally going on the website, typing in, for instance, Lewisham Borough, and speaking with some, like, how do we do that? That's a good one. For those that don't know, how do we do that? And yeah, what's the way forward with that? I think that's a great suggestion there. Great suggestion. Guys, one thing that I want to kind of say is The long game. The long game. Let's look at the long game. So I want to say to everyone, especially those who have young children, okay, look at the long game, because those children, the millennials and younger, those children will be the managers. They will be the leaders of society in the future. And what we teach them is important. So when we're talking about systemic and institutional racism, it's because the people at the top who have unconscious bias inside of them are not allowing people of colour to rise up. All right? So if you are a mother or a father, it's your duty, your responsibility, or a tip. I'm not even saying it's your duty, but I'm saying a tip to go forward is to speak with your children just about being equal. Judge a man by what he can do, not by the colour of his skin. I'm paraphrasing Dr. Martin Luther King. Judge a man by who he is. You understand? So teach your children to indulge or create an equal society for one and all. Another thing that I think can help us move forward is having conversations at the dinner table. Having real conversations at the dinner table. Now, this is not just about racism as such. This is not just about like Black Lives Matter, but having real conversations. And amongst those conversations, it's about you slip in there equality and how racism is wrong. But eating around the dinner table as a family is very important. And to be honest, a lot of rich people, a lot of financially stable people do this with their families. They speak around the dinner table with their families about different issues, financial issues, world issues, current issues that are going on. But I encourage you guys, I challenge you guys to have conversations around the dinner table, and amongst those conversations, speak about how racism is wrong. Speak about how racism is wrong, how it hurts people, how we're global citizens, how if you trip over and scrape your knee and it hurts, that's the same way it might hurt for someone who's a different skin shade to you. It doesn't matter. It hurts. And pain runs deep. And if you're racist or hurtful to someone when they're young, it might manifest in the wrong way when they get older. You know what I'm saying? So, real conversations at the dinner table. Yeah, real conversations. Another one is, this is quite a simple one. Have you ever been on a train? Yeah, you know when you get on the underground, and you get on an underground train, and you're sitting and like you don't know where to look, so you look up and you start reading the adverts about compared to meerkat.com or whatever. You're just reading some random adverts because you don't want to like make eye contact. Man, I'm not saying start like speaking with everyone or whatever, but start saying hi to one another, man. Like start saying hello. That might be a bit risky in certain ways or situations, but where you can, follow your moral compass. Where you can, like when you're standing in a queue at Sainsbury's or at Lidl's and there's a family that's behind you, might be a family of colour, might be a family, I don't know, just smile, spread some love. You know what I mean? One thing that I love to do is just touch my chest. Like as a symbol of love, touch your heart. Boom, like I see someone I don't even know and I just got that. And more often than not, they acknowledge, like they give me a nod or touch their heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, do something like that. It's a very subtle, declaration of love. Love is the key. Love is the key. I think that's just the bottom line, isn't it? Love. I think that's what I'm going to get to. I think that's where I'm going with this. Okay. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. What did we describe comfortable as at the beginning? Yeah, we said comfortable is something that provides physical ease and relaxation. However, let me just be honest with you. Yeah, let me be honest with you about comfortable. Yeah, if you are, let's say, a non-black person, let's say, if you are a white person, and I say this with love, I say this with nothing but love, yeah. if you are a white person and you feel uncomfortable to speak about these issues, you feel uncomfortable to speak about racism, you feel uncomfortable to activate your white privilege in order to speak out against racism, you've got to think about what comfortable you would prefer. Would you rather be uncomfortable to speak out about anti-racism, to acknowledge that you are a white person with a privilege and can make a difference? Would you rather that uncomfortable, or would you rather the uncomfortability of being a black person and knowing that we've been raped, murdered, lynched, hurt, taunted, provoked, antagonised? Systemic racism is still happening, and we're in a society that is still racist, and sometimes we are the minority in many social situations, in many institutional systemic situations. We are the minority. So to speak up, how uncomfortable is that? I'm not saying we have to compare our experiences, but just look at what is uncomfortable for yourself as a white person, but think about what is uncomfortable for me as a black man, as a black guy, to speak. You see what I'm trying to say? So I guess what I'm saying, guys, and look, I'm not the ambassador for black people. Not all black people think the same, and I'm not saying that what I'm saying is right. You know what I'm saying? I'm just starting the conversation. I want you to take what I'm saying and be like, no, I don't agree with that, but I can remix it, change it, and make it that. That's the point of all of this. That's the point of all of this, yeah? So, like I said, yeah, be comfortable with the uncomfortability of the conversation. Remember how Faye started her conversation, and you could hear how her voice shaked. That is the beauty in it, the vulnerability. Yeah? Challenge racist jokes, racist conversations, racist people in your circle. Challenge them. Let them know you're not comfortable with that. Let them know that that can't happen around you. That will no longer be acceptable or tolerated in your presence. Why? Because you're woke, you're enlightened, and you have a global responsibility to your global citizens and your brothers and your sisters, regardless of their skin shade. You see what I'm trying to say? Okay, moving on. I want to say to random acts of kindness. Random acts of kindness. So that kind of falls into the bracket of just saying hi to someone that you don't know, or just doing something nice, for a next door neighbour, or my friend. I got everyone who knows that I am a fitness instructor. I have a deep network of people who follow my classes, etc. Blah blah blah, and nothing but love and respect to you all. A gentleman, he won't mind me saying this, Peter just called me the other day. He just called me on a random. This guy never calls me. He texts me, he drops me little jokes and WhatsApp jokes or whatever, but he called me just to say, Wayne, how are you in all of this? In all of this crap that's going on, all of this stuff, how are you? And I was like, Peter, do you know what? I'm pretty pissed off, but we keep moving forward. We keep pushing forward. I will. We're not going to give up, And he's like, oh, just ringing to check that you're okay and if there's anything I can do type thing. That was a random act of kindness. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to phone me. He didn't have to let me know that he's thinking about me and that. You know what I'm saying? That's a random act of kindness. And we can all do that in our own way, with our neighbours, with our colleagues at work, with whatever situations that we're in. Random acts of kindness. I think that's definitely something that we can all indulge in and do. Guys, if you've got any other ideas, please feel free to send them through and put them out. This is just what I wrote. And I want to say, this is a good one. I think this sounds great. Keep that same energy. So if you have these types of conversations, you listen to these types of shows, you've been to protests, you've been outraged by racism, you've been outraged by, you know, these social injustices and so on and so forth. Please, I'm asking, I'm begging, I'm pleading with you to keep that same energy. I've got 2 minutes left on this thing here. Keep that same energy. So when you go to work, Monday morning, 9 o'clock, team meeting, I don't mean that you need to like go to work with a bandana or a bandana and like NWA t-shirt and be like looking at the boss with like angry eyes. I don't mean that. But I mean just keep that same energy. You know what I mean? And be like, yo, like if I see or if I detect any type of social, racial injustice, I'm gonna speak out, I'm gonna make it known that it's wrong. Keep that same energy, please. I'm asking you. I'm asking you to keep that same energy. I'm requesting of you. Obviously, you can say no. And, you know, we spoke about white privilege and things like that. You know what I mean? I want you to speak out. I want you to speak out about racist injustices in your workplace and these policies and practices. I'm running out of time, so I'm speeding up a bit. Got about 50 seconds left on this live. And I want to say no gaslighting. So that means if you hear a person of colour that is speaking about their experiences and they're speaking from a place of pain, it's not right to say, oh, don't worry about that, that was years ago. Oh, don't worry about that, it's a new day. No. Oh, forget that. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Guys, you know what? I'm going to stop this live again. And let's see if I can get some people on the other side. I want to wrap up the show properly. I want to play a nice song just to kind of send us off. I've got 15 seconds left on this IG Live. If you're listening on the FM dial, stay here and we'll keep it moving. Join me on the other side. I'm going to stay here for another 10-15 minutes, yeah? Yes, guys. So, on the FM dial, it's been your boy Wayne Jordon. Tell you, this is... what do you call it? This is groundbreaking. This is like there's magic in this moment right now. Like George Floyd, like Akwesi said, is almost, you can't compare him to Jesus as such, but I get what Akwesi is saying in that, like he's like Jesus in terms of he's died for us to have these conversations. And how dare we not have these conversations? How dare we not move forward? How dare we not progress? How dare we? We need to, we have to. There's no choice but to. You see what I'm trying to say? Whether you're black, white, old, young, tall, small, Muslim, Christian, it's a human problem. This is a human problem and it needs a human response from everyone. This, the one and only Bob Marley, you know what I mean? Yo, big thank you to everyone that joined in today. Big thank you to everyone that left their thoughts and opinions. Big thank you to everyone who used their courageous advocacy. And what I mean by that is people who know that they have a moral obligation, responsibility to speak out, despite the fact that they might feel nervous, scared, worried, apprehensive, uncomfortable. That uncomfortability will set you free. Face your fears. Speak up. And let's march forward together as global citizens, human beings. There's only one race, ladies and gentlemen, and that is the human race. If you do not recognize that, if you do not understand that, me and you cannot part. Me and you cannot be friends. Me and you cannot be associates. We know this is a black conversation. We know this is to black people. However, it is a human response needed. And if you've ever experienced something called love, if you know what love is all about, then it's not something that you can ignore or bury your head in the ground about. This has been the Wayne Jordon Show, trying to push the conversation forward. And I want you to keep this energy today. Sending you love, peace and blessings. Bigging up Fresh Meds. Coming up next. Taking you into the hours of 6 o'clock. Shout out the one and only B.O.B. Marley, you know what I'm saying? And blessing, like, I'm able to play whatever I want, which I love. I love that. If I was on terrestrial radio, it would be a bit of a madness. But I want to play this one song again. This song is a soundtrack to the struggle.
Modern vampires of the city, until blood, blood.
Yo, I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm proud to be African. Why? Because it's my heritage. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm proud to be African. Why? Because it's
you better explode. Hey, Wayne Jordon, I'm making this. Pull it, and come on there. Hey, brother, you got the life out of me, blood. What I got? My brother, what I got?
Shout out, nigga, you in the building. Like I'm sneaking me, you know.
I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm proud to be African. Why? Because it's my heritage. Motherland people stand up. To Egypt, be proud of all your flags. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm proud to be African. Why? Because it's my heritage. Motherland people stand up. From Zimbabwe to Egypt, be proud of all your flags. In Ethiopia, the oldest fossil was of archaeology, are historically documented. Her name is Lucy, King Mansa Musa. Mali brought gold to the Arabs. Africa's Moors built Salamanca, Europe's first university. Ancient civilizations, Great Zimbabwe, King Mutapa. South Africa has the majestic warrior King Shaka. Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
From beyond war, but when you have gal available and there's fruit and everything's available, knowledge is available, everything's available. What are you fighting over? The only fighting is that there is, there's an art to fighting. Everything you go back to, it goes back to black people. So the thing is, we need to acknowledge this as a global understanding.
Do you, if you could go back in any part of time now, what time would you go back and why?
Could go back.
Yeah, if you could go back to any time.
I would like to go back.
And it don't have to be your time of life.
I would like to go back to when they really saw Africa as a thriving place. The place that we can't even imagine or even know. It's not even written because they're holding the books. All there is. You know, like with the Jesus story. We're not going to get into religion. You have a lot of faith. With Africa, it's still standing. The stuff is still standing clear as day. Still now. And they're still trying to figure it out. So you don't need no faith. You have documents right there in front of your face. So you can't go around it. Like I said, you can't get around it.
You're 106 years old now and you look back at your life. What would you look back and want to look back and see?
I would want to look back and see that I've got a big ripple in time and space. And when we're saying negative, there's going to be so many white people when them comment like...
Even if I told you, still wouldn't understand what happened. Rather be myself, but people look at me, don't matter. A rock star, just trying to keep it kosher, trying to keep my eyes on my... Too. So I let them know to do something to you. We'll never get it out.
Always with you, Lord, connect me to him.
The Wayne Jordon Show.
This is totally different.
Yeah, think that we started out as slaves. The facts them hidden like the back cave. Like there wasn't black empires, like 10 fires. I be hotting up them liars.
Dwayne Jordon Soul.
The world's origins of African, look it up, read that. They taught me how to be a worker. Go a bit further. Yeah, I'm going in like a needle. The money is the root of all evil, but the evidence is feeble. I see like an eagle that people are evil. They taught me hate whites.
Yo, if you want the needles, you better. Hey, Wayne Jordon, baby, let's pull it, and come again. My gosh.
Always with you, connect me to me.
This one, Unlearn, by Mad Saber. The forthcoming EP, Who is Mad Saber?
You think that we started out as slaves? That's the facts that we hidden like the back cave. Like there wasn't black empires, like 10 fires, I'll be hotting up them liars. They took the facts and they shook it up like the world's origins of African, look it up. Read that. They taught me how to be a worker. I had to teach myself to go a bit further. Yeah, I'm going in like a needle. They said that money is the root of all evil, but the evidence is feeble. I see like an eagle that people are evil. They taught me hate whites and murder blacks. The only killing that I do is when I murder tracks. I got my own mind, I'm on bullshit. When it's shit, keeping it moving, keeping it moving. They told me not to ask silly questions, and when I was lost I never asked for directions. They told me waste all my money on the name brands. Black's the bleach skin and white's the fake tan. They told me judge people by the skin colour. They told me that terrorists say inshallah and worship their currency. I said I'm going in cuz, so cover me. They can't insult me like I don't read. Streets taught me to smoke weed. Money's moving real fast like the road runner. They want me to be Wiley Coyote, but I'm more like Malcolm with the goatee. They taught me a bunch of maths that I don't need. I got my own mind, I'm old school little shit. When it's all shit, seeking and breathing deep in the movement. Never listen, keep it moving.
Dwayne Jordon Soul.
We gotta relearn things with more relevance, spiritual elements, emotional intelligence. Listen to the